Hello and welcome to the CX Files for October 30th, 2025. My name is Mark Hillary and I'm in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
And I'm Peter Ryan. I am in Montreal. Mark, happy Halloween to you. And I hope that you're going to enjoy a little bit of trick-or-treating tonight.
Well, we might do that. We might do that. Here where I live in Sao Paulo, it's a little bit more organized than back in London, where back where I come from, you'd see kids out roaming the streets all by themselves. Here, it seems more like streets of kids get organized into a big gang. So, in one way, it's funny to watch a whole gang of kids going together, but it also means when they hit you, they just hit you once, because it's like every kid in the street will come into the lobby of your house just to grab what they can. But once they've done it, then they're gone.
It was always a really, really happy time when I was growing up. We had all sorts of fun going trick-or-treating. I remember my mom was always delighted to welcome the kids into the house to see the costumes and to find out which houses they lived in. And it was it was definitely, I think, a rite of passage growing up. And nowadays, as you say, in Montreal here, there's lots of trick-or-treating activity, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully a Halloween party or two as well.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Well, it's coming up tomorrow anyway.
Yeah. It's tomorrow, not the 30th. That's right. Sorry. God. I can't even keep track of my days. You can see how long it's been since I celebrated Halloween, about 364 days ago.
Halloween on a Friday as well. So it's
the
weekend.
Best. That was the best. No, that honestly was the best growing up. Halloween on Friday meant a Halloween party at school, and then coming home, getting your costume on, going out and trick-or-treating, and then coming home, gorging on candy, and then feeling sick the rest of the weekend.
That's it. Well, knowing that there's no school or work or anything coming up the next day.
Yeah. Those were the days.
All right, so let's talk about the interview this week. We're sort of picking up on a few recent interviews as well here, because we're talking with Elona Ymeri, who's the service delivery leader at Assist Digital. She's based out in Tirana in Albania. And she was on one of the recent pods, which was a discussion, a panel discussion. But we also had Ania Davishi talking about Albania on a recent pod as well. So we've been looking at different locations across Europe. Alona was talking about Georgia on the most recent discussion one, and she's now on by herself talking about the advantages of smaller locations compared to the big ones that we all know. Everyone's aware of the capabilities of India and the Philippines and so on, but the way that BPO is changing and becoming much more digital, or a digital blend, rather than just warehouses full of agents, means that there's an opportunity now for smaller locations to actually offer a more bespoke service. So she talked a little bit about what Albania is offering, but more generally, smaller destinations, especially across places like the Caribbean and Europe, and how they can effectively compete with big experienced destinations.
I'm interested to hear this talk, Mark, because, I'll be honest with you. At this point, I'm not seeing a massive shift towards what everybody's talking about, a digital blend in regards to how CX is going to be played out. I mean, we hear a lot of rhetoric out there about the number of workstations that are going to be shifted over to digital. But if you actually talk to the enterprises and to the operators, there's not really been that much. And I'll be interested to get Alona's take on this. Now, I do agree that there is a role to play for some of these more niche destinations. And, you reference Southern Central Europe. We talk a little bit about the Caribbean. I think that the opportunity to train up agents with very high levels of skills, with very high levels of subject matter expertise is very much a differentiator. But we also need to be very cautious, because this can be done in some of the major markets. And take South Africa, for instance. That's positioned itself as a large scale, high quality destination with significant subject matter expertises across several different verticals. Pricing will probably be relatively comparative to many of some of these smaller destinations as well. So the logic that Elona is coming to the table with, I think, is spot on. But we also, I think, have to be ready, and we have to be clear that there's a reason why a lot of these large scale destinations have not only established themselves, but have maintained their relevance over the years too.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And of course, there's a lot of variables at play here as well. We're definitely noticing that there is just generally more customer contact taking place as well. So if you're seeing volumes increase, even if you are managing to put a bigger percentage out to automated services, then you probably still need just as many agents anyway. So there's a lot taking place in the industry at present, but clearly there is a digital shift of some sort. So I guess the question is, how quickly does that move, and does it give an advantage to smaller destinations?
But as I say, I think that there's a lot of talk about a digital shift. But Mark, in terms of, and I don't want to get off topic here in terms of what Alona is going to be discussing, because I'm very excited to hear it. But I will say this: we've been we've been talking about this for the past 2.5 decades, at least as long as I've been in the industry, about how 15 to 20% of interactions are going to be shifted over to digital. That happened back when speech automated IVR came out in the early 2000s. And then when what we called RPA in 2010, 2011, well, then it was going to be 10 to 15% of interactions were going to be shifted over. Then it was intelligent automation, and that was going to be 10 to 15% of interactions. Now we're at this newfound AI digital hype cycle, and now we're talking, nobody will put a percentage down. And I think that we need to get past the rhetoric, and we need to actually get some substantial numbers. You talk to 100 different CX professionals, you're going to get 100 different answers about what they see as the percentage. There's definitely a lot of discussion. What we need to see is the rubber starting to hit the road. That notwithstanding, I would say I've gotten to know Elona over the course of the past couple of years. This is somebody who comes to the table with significant experience in regards to what she's doing in the nearshore element of CX. I spent some time with her over in Georgia a couple of months ago, and truly somebody with a great amount of wisdom. So let's maybe head on over to the discussion that you had with Alona and find out a little bit more about how she sees some of these emerging niche destinations playing a role in the global CX delivery space.
Alona, hi, it's great to get you on the podcast. Now, I know that you had a part in the discussion about Georgia recently on the podcast, but now we've got you for your own episode, and talking about smaller destinations, including Albania, where you're based. And we had Albania featured on the podcast last September, and that was kind of looking at the advantage of staying within Europe, within a smaller destination, rather than going to places like South Africa. Do you think that? What's your opinion about that argument or that discussion? I mean, what would you add to what you heard on that podcast?
I mean, maybe I will repeat a bit of what I heard on that podcast, but because of the passion that I share about Albania, maybe I will be a bit repetitive and also add some additional information when it comes to Albania. I think it's very important to highlight, as it was also highlighted before, that the Albanian BPO sector, or the BPO sector in Albania, it's very mature. So it has been working for more than 20 years in Albania, and it's highly developed and competitive, with very experienced professionals who have worked with major international players like big brands and know exactly what they have or what is expected of them. Apart from that, I went through the data once again to confirm it, and based on the recent data, there are almost 30,000 people working in the BPO and ICT sector in Albania, which I have to say it's a remarkable figure for the country of our side. So it shows how deeply enabled outsourcing and digital service has become in our economy. I think that it has been shared also on the previous podcast, but I think that it's important also to note that there is a strong Italian influence historically, but what we are seeing in the last couple of years, it's also a significant rise in English and German speaking professionals, reflecting how Albania is growing, also the integration with the EU. I'm pretty sure that you know, but Albania is also it's on a clear path toward the EU membership, which is accelerating the alignment with European business standards and also regulatory frameworks, which makes the collaboration even smoother for partners across the region. And something else which I wanted to say, that you have been discussing a lot about Albania. So I'm eagerly waiting for you to come and join us in Albania, right?
Well, I'm sure I'd certainly love to go over and visit. And I'm not sure if Peter's been over, but we can certainly talk to him as well about us visiting sometime.
Well, actually, I was waiting for you and Peter to come to visit me in Albania because I'm organizing also for Peter the visit in Albania. So I'm going to organize for both of you this
Okay,
time.
well, that's a great invitation. Well, I mean, sort of developing on what you were just saying. Then, one of the things that we talked about in the previous podcast that was specifically focused on Albania was this idea of smaller and maybe less visible BPO destinations being more attractive for European companies. So let's say I'm a company in Italy, Germany, or the UK. It should be more attractive for me to work with Albania rather than India or the Philippines, for example. And even though these destinations have got lots of experience and lots of resource, would you argue then that staying within Europe has an advantage?
Actually, when we're discussing about Albania, what I wanted to say is that one of the very interesting conversations that I have had with different clients is that companies are increasingly looking for something closer. So they want teams that are easier to visit, that share cultural alignment, and that can operate in similar time zones. So what I wanted to say is that rather than positioning nearshore or as a competitor to offshore destination like South Africa or India, I see it as a complementary option. So I have to say that there is space in the market for everyone. It really depends on the client requirements and how they want to collaborate. But being a smaller destination gives us a really edge in agility, speed, and closeness. And what do I mean by that? It's that the clients that have been working for some of the providers that are operating in Albania, and Access Digital is one of the biggest operating here, they have quickly noticed that collaboration is more personal, decisions are made faster, and when it comes to solution are tailor-made rather than standardized. So if I can add when it comes to us is actually the company that I work is that we use the competitive environment. So we create a workspace culture that really stands out. So we focus on succession planning, not only vertically, but also horizontally. So as I mentioned, it's more solution and tailor-made rather than standardized. This is what I have to say when it comes to very small, or if we can consider a small and less visible destination, which from what I've seen so far, it's not that less visible. It's becoming quite visible.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, we're definitely at the moment anyway, and I suppose this podcast is part of that process. I mean, are you saying then that one argument might be as companies are they're looking for different types of services. So sometimes they might need scale. You might need 1,000 FTEs, and that's probably not going to be the Albania option. But if I wanted a smaller team that's highly innovative and flexible, then I could mix and match. Maybe I could have a team in Albania and in India as well.
It might be also Albania when we are talking about 1,000, but what I'm saying is that Albania is not that less visible on the CX world. It's quite visible now. It's a country. Sorry, it's exactly a country with this industry that has a lot of experience when it comes with more than 20 years. So I have to position Albania, and I like to use the word on the elite customer service. So yes, you can have a very strong team in India and also a very strong team in Albania that can be complementary, as I mentioned before. So I do prefer not to compare them or just to say, just pick one or the other. As I mentioned, Albania can be a very good complementary part of the big countries and what they are providing at this moment.
Yeah. Okay. And do you find then that because you just said that Albania is getting a reputation for CX and people are starting to hear about it, and I wanted to ask about how much education you need to do with the buyer community. I mean, when you go out and you try talking to potential clients in Europe or the US, how much explanation about Albania do you need to do? And does it compare to what you recently experienced in Georgia, where obviously they are flying analysts over to go and see what's happening, and so the analysts will write about it? Is that something that Albania needs as well?
Yes, I think it needs. And what we saw in Georgia is that it's an industry that is growing very, very fast. When it comes to Albania, it has more time that has been created, but still you see some of the disadvantages because, for example, one of the disadvantages, which is the fun part, there are some misconceptions when it comes to Albania and the Balkans, often shaped by very old headlines rather than the reality. So we sometimes need to educate our clients, or people sometimes come with preconceptions. So when they visit and they meet the teams and they spend a few days with the team and they are leaving, wow, this is not what I expected at all. And I'm pretty sure that you are going to come very soon and you will see it by yourself. But the buyer education is part of our work, but in a very positive one. So what we are trying to show to our client is that Albania is modern, it's innovative, it's ready, and then people here are truly passionate about what they do. Not only that they are passionate, but they have really extensive experience in what they are doing. We're talking here about more than 20 years of experience serving very big brands, so giants of the industries.
Yeah, and you just talked about innovation, and I was thinking that as we see more BPO and CX solutions combining human agents with AI, is there more of a focus on strategic innovation and less focus just on contact center headcount? Is it more of a solution that you need to sell rather than just FTEs in a contact center?
I think that there is a major trend. I think that the industry is moving away from massive contact center, the word intelligent technology-driven operation. We called it intelligent operation. And it's a concept that has been more than 2 years that we have been using in ASYS. I think that it's not longer about headcounts. It's about how effectively you can combine human talent with technology. So one of the Albanian advantages as a smaller, more isolated destination is that it allows us to focus on quality and specialization. So we are seeing more and more demand for second and third level support, which requires a very deep product knowledge and critical thinking. And of course, all of this supported by AI. I have to say that, for example, for me, this has not been a new concept because in ASYS Digital, this is part of our company DNA, so blending technology and people to deliver intelligent operation. So what I wanted to, let's say, focus when it comes to this, I have to say that instead of competing on size, we compete more on intelligence, adaptability, and human value. And I think that that's what is going to define the next generation of CX, not
Yeah.
mostly the headcounts.
Yeah, yeah. So certainly it's more about a CX solution then, rather than just the volume or the number of agents. What about the sort of cultural connection then? Because if you look at places like Jamaica there and many other Caribbean locations, they sell themselves into the US as being like very closely culturally connected to the US, but operating at a lower cost base. Is that the sort of thing that you're able to achieve in Europe, or are you looking further for your clients?
I think yes, absolutely. But I would say it's not just about European clients anymore. Of course, proximity and cultural alignment makes Albania a great nearshore option for Europe. It's understandable, but because we are only 2 hours away from UK, from London, and we share mainly linguistic and cultural ties. But when it comes to digitalization, which is happening today, collaboration now is borderless. So I think that Albania's strength is in offering European level quality, multilingual talent, and strong adaptability, which makes us equally attracted to global client. We're not trying, as I mentioned before, we're not trying to compete with offshore. We're offering something different. So we're offering closeness, communication, and flexibility. And when it comes to AI, because everyone is talking about AI, something which I'm pretty sure you know that Albania is investing heavily on AI, and you know that it's emerging technologies. And we have also a Minister of State for Artificial Intelligence and Innovation. So it shows that we are quite immersed in AI. So this shows also how serious the country is embracing the future of digital transformation. So I wouldn't say that Albania is supporting and can support only Europe. I think that it's borderless now with all the options and merging AI and human resources together.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that because I think that if you just say Albania has an AI minister, people will think it's a human government minister that's responsible for AI. But what you're talking about is there is an AI that is actually a government minister, and that minister is in charge of procurement for the government.
Yes.
So the idea is that the AI can guide companies that want to sell services to the government, guide them through the process of how to pitch for the business. And then the AI will do the selection process of which company gets the contract. So it eliminates humans, and obviously that eliminates corruption as well, because everybody knows about the ministers that will give a contract to their favorite company, and they get a nice holiday, or they get a deposit in their Swiss bank account. So clearly, but Albania sort of hits the headlines for other innovations. I saw that the country is trying to go without cash by 2030, and there seems to be lots of stories like this, like very very innovative technology-led stories that keep hitting the international headlines, and you read them in the New York Times, the BBC, so it's covered around the world. And do you think that this kind of coverage helps when you're trying to talk to people about what you're doing in your industry?
I mean, yes, of course it helps. As I mentioned, some of the headlines are wrong, so they're presenting Albania in the wrong way. But then you have also other headlines, as you mentioned before, that are presenting very well. And as I mentioned, also our industry, it's quite updated with what is going on the AI at this moment. So when it comes to the trends, if you are referring to, for example, 2026, one of the most exciting things, but not, I would say, in the industry of Albania, but also talking about us as digital, because of the company that I'm working, is the rise of agentic AI. So unlike traditional AI, which only executes predefined tasks, agentic AI acts proactively. So it collaborates with humans. So you mentioned when it comes to our AI minister, yes, there is not the human power there, but still there is the integration with AI, and the usage of that AI minister is to prevent corruption. But apart from that, it shows that we are taking different steps when it comes to development of AI and digitalization. One of the things that I wanted to share with you when it comes to 2026, for example, when it comes to us as digital that I'm working, we are very strong advocates on finding the perfect balance between human and artificial intelligence, and we are scaling our agentic AI across customer service, so to help our agents, so all our time to focus and to work smarter, make better decisions, also deliver more value. And we have been investing a lot, actually. We have been investing because we have acquired digital and AI solution companies, so expanding our AI and digital footprint in all Europe. So when I see for the future for Albania, but also speaking more about the company that I'm working for, I see that what is going to happen in the future, it's an integration of agentic AI, human empathy and skill, and strategic partnership, and of course, compliance. That's the formula for the next chapter of the customer service.
Yeah, and I was going to wrap up by just asking you about what trends you're looking at for next year. And I guess you just sort of answered with agentic, but then I would just go on and ask further to that. Do you think that the growth of agentic use, like agentic agents, do you think it will grow faster inside the enterprise or with consumers? I mean, the idea of us being able to use intelligent agents to work on our behalf, rather than having to make a customer service phone call, we can just ask our agent to handle those kind of problems. So do you think that will grow, or will it grow faster inside the kind of contact center environment?
We will have to see that. We will have to see that. I know that at this moment we are focusing a lot on agentic AI and how they can be combined with the human capital, and how they can give the optimum solution and results to our client. I think that everything is changing so fast. So I think that 2026 is going to bring, and 2027, and I'm pretty sure that you read a lot when it comes to AI, and I read a lot when it comes to, sometimes, you blame yourself that you don't read that much or enough, so to be updated with what is happening. But I think that we will have to see that. I'm sure about what is going to be the focus for 2026, and there is a strong focus when it comes to agentic AI, and what we can do with that, and what are the solutions. But after that, everything is changing.
Yeah. And I think that kind of neatly brings everything back to the beginning of this discussion, because we started off by talking about smaller, more focused destinations competing with very large destinations for BPO. And I guess from what we've talked about, the development of AI, the development of different BPO business models, the development of agentic, I mean, it means that when companies are looking for a BPO solution, they're no longer necessarily just looking for an enormous amount of resource. It's not about how many seats you can fill. It's about who has got the best approach and attitude and culture and technical solution.
Apart from that, also, I have to say, compliance itself, it's going to become more and more important. And I'm pretty sure that we have been discussing this a lot of time. So it's not about only the solution, but it's also about regulations and the compliance itself about when it comes to AI. One of the things that maybe I forgot to mention, it's for us, 2026 is also a combination between consulting and outsourcing. It's not about only outsourcing itself, but it's also the combination of both together, because it's about improving the business and your partnership and how you can improve together. So apologies, I missed this part, which for us it's one of the priorities apart from the AI part.
Yeah, so you mean basically that instead of considering I'm just taking some existing customer service processes and I'm going to give them to my partner, instead it's actually more about I'm going to work with my partner to design a solution.
Totally. And we call this intelligent operation. It's about how you can prepare the perfect intelligence operation that is going to help your client, your company on optimizing not only the cost, but on optimizing your client retention and optimizing your CX. This is what we see in the future. So it's a partnership together. Yeah. I've seen that develop over the years. I mean, 20 years ago, BPO was entirely focused on cost reduction. And now with this kind of partnership model, it seems to be very much more connected to, can we do this to increase productivity? Can we increase revenue? What does this allow us to access new markets? So there's definitely a lot more complexity there. Yeah.
Okay, well, that seems like looking forward to 26 and 27 seems like a great place to stop. We're in Q4, so that was a great summary. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mark. And I'm pretty sure that the next podcast will be in Albania.
Thanks for listening to the CX Files podcast. We really appreciate your feedback and suggestions. You can reach myself, Mark Hillary, or Peter Ryan via LinkedIn. Please also leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast provider, as that helps more people to find us. As always, we'd like to thank Chris Haig at Traction Media for the CX Files graphics. See you next week.